I'm Preston Marx. I'm professor of tropical medicine, and I'm a core scientist here in the Primate Center where we are right now. And while I was here at Tulane, this wasn't done in previous places, New York or California, I hit upon an idea of how to prove the ancestor of HIV, which is SIV, stands for simian immunodeficiency virus, was ancient in Africa. Because what puzzled me was what people don't know, there's two HIV epidemics. There's HIV-1 and HIV-2. And the virus emerged in two different places about 1,000 miles apart. Now, I know you talk to the anthropologists, they'll tell you that human beings, we evolved in East Africa, but they've been in West Africa maybe 50,000 years when they moved over there. So I'm thinking, so you have all this exposure to non-human primates through the use of bushmeat and because that for 50,000 years, and AIDS only came out in the middle of the 20th century, and it happened twice. That doesn't make sense. So I began to investigate that, and the first thing that people said about the idea of all this being new was that, well, SIV is new. Well, there's an island off the coast of Africa called Bioko, and it had a land bridge in the Ice Age, and now it's an island. And I said, well, if we go on the island and do field research and find SIV on this island, that will prove SIV is more than 20,000 years old. So then you're stuck with an explanation of what happened in the 20th century to launch really one of the worst pandemics we've ever had. And I did all that work at Tulane. That work was recognized and published in Science, made the New York Times, and Discover magazine and named it as in 2010 in the top 100 discoveries of the year. So that is some of the research I've done at Tulane that was been really very rewarding, and I'm lucky to have this facility here that I could have done it. I did develop an interest in doing something I'd never done before, which was really become an undergraduate teacher. I'd always taught graduate students, medical students, and never had the opportunity to teach undergrad. So I developed a course called Emerging Diseases with a focus on the tropics. And I've offered that course on the Uptown campus. That's been, I think first was getting a professor appointment in the Department of Tropical Medicine was number one for me in arriving at Tulane. Number two was teaching that course Uptown. I've loved it. And I really enjoyed working with the undergrads. They're just so smart and enthusiastic. It's been one of the high points of my career is working there. I came here from Air Diamond AIDS Research Center in Manhattan and NYU. The joke is I made a huge circle. I was born in New Orleans. Actually, I was born in Treme. There was a hospital there at that time. And my family, my mother's side was Sicilian, and my uncle worked in this hospital in Treme, and she went there to have me. And I grew up mostly the Ninth Ward. So when I started college, I didn't come from a wealthy family, and they asked me to give a talk here one time about my career in college, and I titled my talk, Clueless Goes to College, because I was clueless. I knew I wanted to go to college, I knew what I wanted, so I got on the bus and went to the nearest college, which was UNO, and graduated there. And then went to LSU Medical School. And then I got kind of the big break in international science was I went to St. Jude Hospital where I trained in virology. And from there I went to Philadelphia, California, and all around. But so when I got recruited back to Tulane, I actually came home, and my parents were still alive here even 25 years ago. And I didn't especially want to leave Manhattan and come back to Louisiana. And then when I got back here, I slipped right back in the culture and say, I'm not going anywhere. This is just fine. Yeah, I think the legacy that I would like to leave is that as a field virologist, there's nothing like walking and facing an outbreak. Going and facing an Ebola outbreak in the Congo, or walking the streets of San Francisco like I did in the early days, of just looking around and saying, what is going on here? We're in our laboratories, and that's where we have to do much of the work. But I want to leave a legacy that you have to get out and look at the epidemic. You've got to think like a virus when you're walking through a dusty village. in West Africa. What's this virus doing? Where's this going? Because the virus is motivated, it can't think, but it's driven by its own gene to make a living and to grow in human beings and to go in the field and that. And also realize that you can do field research anywhere and learn about outbreaks and how to control them and prevent them.